Not everyone who listens is your friend. Not everything needs to be shared. Protect your thoughts, your plans, and your peace. Michael Carter was known as a good man. He was kind, hardworking, and always willing to help others. At 42, he had built a modest but comfortable life in a quiet suburb of Ohio. He worked as a project manager at a mid-sized construction firm, had a loving wife named Laura, and a teenage daughter, Emily, who was the center of his world. Michael believed in openness. He believed that honesty built trust, and trust built strong relationships. He never liked secrets. If something bothered him, he talked about it. If something excited him, he shared it. To him, transparency was a virtue. But Michael never learned one important lesson. Not everyone who listens is your friend. At work, Michael was friendly with everyone, but especially close to a coworker named Brian. Brian was easy to talk to, always nodding, always agreeing, always offering sympathy. During lunch breaks, Michael would tell Brian everything. He talked about how the company felt unstable lately. He shared his worries about upcoming layoffs. He spoke openly about disagreements with his boss. He even mentioned his dream of starting his own consulting business someday. Brian listened quietly and smiled. What Michael didn't realize was that Brian wasn't listening to understand, he was listening to collect. Outside of work, Michael was just as open. On social media, he posted about his family, his plans, his frustrations. If he had a bad day, the internet knew. If he argued with Laura, it turned into a vague but obvious status update. Friends commented, strangers reacted. Everyone had access to pieces of his life. Michael thought sharing made him relatable. In reality, it made him exposed. One afternoon, Michael was called into his manager's office. The tone was different this time, cold, formal. The manager explained that several concerns had been raised about Michael's attitude, his lack of loyalty, and his negative talk about leadership. Michael was stunned. He tried to explain, but the manager showed him something that made his stomach drop. His own words, private complaints, concerns he had only shared in casual conversations, ideas he had spoken aloud, trusting the wrong ears. Brian had reported him. Not only that, Brian had positioned himself as the positive, committed employee. When layoffs came, Michael's name was at the top of the list. Within a month, he was unemployed. At home, stress filled the air. Bills didn't wait. Savings disappeared faster than expected. Laura tried to stay strong, but Michael could see the worry in her eyes. Emily stopped asking for things she needed. That silence hurt more than any argument. One night, Michael sat alone in the dark living room, scrolling through his old social media posts. He saw a man who shared too much, trusted too easily, and confused attention with loyalty. That's when it hit him. Trust is not built by words, it is earned by actions. Michael eventually found freelance work. It paid less, but it gave him time to think. Slowly, carefully, he began rebuilding, not just his career, but his mindset. He stopped oversharing. At work, he spoke professionally, not emotionally. At home, he shared deeply, but only with those who had proven they cared. Online, he became quiet. Not secretive, selective. Months later, Michael ran into Brian at a grocery store. Brian looked uncomfortable. He tried to make small talk, but Michael simply nodded politely and walked away. No anger, no revenge, just awareness. Michael had learned something that changed his life forever. Some people don't need access to your thoughts. Some don't deserve your vulnerabilities, and some will use your honesty as a weapon. From that day on, Michael followed 3 rules. Share dreams only with those who protect them. Share struggles only with those who support you. Share your plans after they succeed, not before. Because silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is wisdom. And trust, real trust, is rare. Moral of the story: not everyone who listens is your friend. Not everything needs to be shared. Protect your thoughts, your plans, and your peace.